Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is just going to be a chit chat, get ready with me. I have products that I've recently purchased from the drugstore as well as some PR items. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably would have seen several of these featured on stories, some new releases, some products that have been out forever. For instance, these L'Oreal True Match foundations. I'd kind of forgotten about them. I remember loving the Lumi, but I couldn't really remember how I felt about True Match. I've had those for a little over a week now. I've been testing those out as well as other products, so I thought it'd be fun just to sit down and get ready together. First up, let's prime. This isn't a new one, it's just my VDL Lumi layer. This is a classic though. If you've been with me for a while, then you know I've raved about this primer for many years. It doesn't really do much for blurring, but I feel like it just does a good job of hydrating, plumping up the skin, and then adding this really pearly luminosity. And I just feel like I could use some brightness right now. And then on top of that, I can't stop using these. I've had the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter in the shade 3 for a while now, but I recently got the shade 7. So if you're into the whole like underpainting thing, or even on days where I just want a little bit more warmth to my skin, I like to add that underneath. I like to apply this all over just to give my skin a nice little boost. Also, I just realized I did not bring my sponge or my brushes over here, so I need to grab that. On top of this, I also like to go in with any sort of like hydrating setting mist. This, not even setting mist, just like a hydrating mist. This is from Derma E, the hyaluronic acid, rose water, coconut water, even if you just had any sort of, oh no, I do have a sponge, but I still have to go get my brushes. Any sort of little hydrating mist on top, I just like, just to add another layer of hydration to my skin. This is the Beaky, I think that's the brand, the Beaky Beauty Sponges from Amazon. I tried the originals that come in multicolors that look just like the Beauty Blenders. I didn't really care for those at all. I felt like they were kind of stiff, but these teardrop shaped ones that come in the 2-pack, they're like rounded, the classic shape on one side, and then you have this flat edge on the other. I purchased these several months back. Well, I've repurchased them a couple times already because Taylor Wynn was raving about them, and she is right. Just the like bounciness that these sponges have is so nice. I recently got in a package from Essence and they sent over this Prime Like a Boss eyeshadow base. I'm not quite sure if this is new or not. I'm thinking it is because I haven't seen this in any of the recent times that I've gone to Ulta. It just says universal shade. To be honest, I'm crazy about face primers, but I skip eye primer a lot. I remember back in the day, I used to always wear the Too Faced Shadow Insurance and the Urban Decay, wasn't that one just called Shadow Potion? But these days, I'll just use my concealer or color corrector as an eye primer and call it a day. Okay, this does actually have a nice little tack to it though, so I feel like it'll do a good job hugging on to my shadows. I have 3, well technically it's 2 different options, but one of the palettes has like a light version and a dark version. So first up from Lawless Beauty, this is the lavender one, talc-free eyeshadow palette. I've only ever tried one other palette from Lawless Beauty. I'm definitely more gravitated towards their lip products more so than their eyeshadow products, but this is just called Lavender, the one. There's some really pretty shades in here, great for spring, but honestly, I'm thinking for this video, we'll probably be using one of these palettes here. This is from Sydney Grace. Both of them are the Unbreakable Bond palette, but then all of her palettes have a light version and then a deep version. So depending on your skin tone, whether you need like more pigmentation or something that's gonna pop a little bit more versus something that's lighter on fair skin tones. But both of these look so freaking pretty. Honestly, deep caught my eye more just because the tones in here look a little bit richer and warmer, specifically the shade Cleveland. I will always love colors like this. I'm gonna try to just stick to one palette. That way I'm not bouncing back and forth between both of them in case you end up really loving one. So from now on, we're only gonna be using the deep palette. Also, this is totally random, but I was just in Georgia for late in spring break. My parents recently moved to Georgia. Keegan and I are really wanting to move there. I'm just over all the concrete and flat land here in Houston. Georgia is just so pretty, and I feel like you have easy access to so many other nice places that we love. So my mom and I were at Marshall's and I found this MAC single shadow in Woodwinked, which is one of my all-time favorite shadows from MAC. Mine shattered recently because it was just like around the very rim of the pan. This was $5.99 at Marshall's. So if you have Marshall's nearby, check it out. I know it's always hit or miss. The Marshalls by my house honestly always sucks. Like all they ever have is like Revolution Beauty. I never see good things like this. So I was stoked to find Woodwinked. We're gonna start off with the shade Dusty Trails. I forgot how pigmented her shadows are. I need to kind of disperse it between both eyes because I picked up way too much from the beginning. But as you can see, they blend out beautifully. Who else has taken a total deep dive into all this Vanderpump drama? I'd watched from the very first season, like whenever it was first released, and then I had stayed consistent till I think maybe like a season after Stassi left. Like after Stassi and Beau, I think I kind of fell off the bandwagon. After that, it just got boring to me. But yeah, talk about hook, line, and sinker. They've definitely made it interesting all over again. So I've been catching up on that. I've just honestly been watching a lot of garbage TV. For instance, Love Island. I've talked about this in the past. I've never really been a fan of Love Island USA, but Love Island UK and Australia are hands down the best. If you guys are watching right now, who is your favorite couple? I originally loved Lana, but I never really liked Ron. So I don't know, my feelings now, I feel like my go-to couple has been Sammy and Tom. If you guys don't watch UK, you have to give it a chance. I had a couple of friends who tried it and they watched from like season 1 and they didn't love it. I want to say it's either season 3 or 4 is where I started, like whenever there was Montana, and I can't even remember all the people. From that season on, I've watched like every single season. And then after I watched several, I went back to season 1 and I feel like I appreciated it a lot more. So if you start from season 1 and you feel like it's a snooze fest, jump forward and then go back later. And then I feel like you'll like it a lot more. It's a million times better than Love Island USA. The shade that I'm using now is called Sun Poisoning. This is such a pretty color. I'm not feeling all matte, so I definitely do want to use one of these shimmers. Let's see what Just Peachy is really pretty, but that might be, I don't want to do that much. Let's see what Auntie's looks like. That's a really pretty gold. Here's Spring Fling. Okay, all of these are stunning. And then let's do Tiara. I'm not feeling like a gray today, but look at that. That's like straight up Tin Man silver. Haley's Haze. Okay, that might be the one. I love metallics like this where it's like high shine and wet looking, but it doesn't look so heavy and caked on the eye. Does that make sense? Almost more like a wet glaze. I'm just gonna take a touch of the peachy shade and kind of apply it more to the center. And then for the outer corner, I'm gonna go back into Sun Poisoning just because I really liked that color, just to deepen up the outer corner here. I do want to go in with a tiny bit of a wing. I do not get this liquid eyeliner. I've been using this for well over a year and it is still going strong. It's from the brand McQueen New York. It's just their waterproof pen eyeliner and it's in the shade Deep Brown. It's just the perfect shade whenever you want a wing but you don't want it to be too harsh. I typically go in with a shadow wing, but if I want it to last all day, I'll always use this liquid liner. It's so easy to use. The shade is just right. The actual felt tip isn't like that different compared to other liquid liners that I have, but like when it comes to the shape, but the stiffness, it has not changed at all. I have other liquid liners where like once they've gotten, well, most liquid liners don't last this long for me that I've used in the past. But ones that I have had for like several weeks or over a month, it seems like it starts to get a little bit flimsy. This has stayed nice and structured. It never spills out too much. It's just like the perfect amount. Honestly, it's my favorite liquid liner ever. So I do have a new mascara. It's from Essence. It's the Lash Like a Boss Instant Volume and Length. I'm not that excited just because I haven't really had, like, besides Lash Princess and Waterproof, there hasn't really been any other Essence mascara that I've loved. And I'm so hooked on the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift that I feel like all my other mascaras, besides Maybelline Sky High, have just seemed kind of blah to me lately. But let's still give this one a chance. It has a nice little curve to the wand. It's like the natural bristles. It's pretty, but I'm not like super excited about it. I have a feeling I'm going to be going in with L'Oreal on top. Foundations are different. You know, you need time to see how they wear throughout the day. For me, I feel like I can tell whether I'm gonna love a mascara upon first application. This will probably end up being a lower lash mascara. What I do like about it is that the brush doesn't pull out too much product. So you're getting really nice, clean swipes from it. but it's just kind of meh for me for my upper lashes. So I am going to use some of the telescopic lift on top. The one downside to this is that the brush picks up so much product where I feel like I have to take time to really scrape it off. But after I do that, this holds my curl, I think, even better than Maybelline Sky High. I always either like to take my fingers or my brush. I feel like this looks so weird on camera. And just while the mascara is drying, I'll kind of push them up, just because if you have straight lashes, you know, you do all the extra steps to really keep that curl up. Lately, I've been liking to apply my concealer under my foundation, so I am going to do that today. But first, I'm going to go in with the corrector that I always use. This is just from Innisfree BK Beauty Brush. This came from the Angie Hot and Flashy collection. It's the A506, and it is perfect for under eye concealer. And then my concealer today, I've still been using the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. I kind of want to try the new one from Physicians Formula. I'm typically not the biggest fan of their complexion products, besides their bronzers and stuff like that. But when it comes to like actual foundations, I always feel like those are kind of mediocre. Although, remember they had that concealer years ago that came in the same packaging as the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer? I remember really liking that one. But besides that, I don't really think there's been a concealer from Physicians Formula that I've been crazy about. For foundation, as I showed earlier, I have both the original True Match and True Match Lumi. I just used True Match Lumi the other day on story, so I think I want to go back to the OG True Match just because I've really only used this maybe like 3 or 4 times, but I've been loving it every time. If you are curious, I have mine in the shade N3. This blends out beautifully with any method. I've done it with my fingers, I've done it with a brush, I've done it with a sponge, and honestly, I feel like it looks pretty every single way. If you like something lightweight that's nice for every day with buildable coverage, you would really like this. I know it's been out for years, but I mean, just with the way makeup is, I feel like I've been using so many other foundations and just kind of forgot about this guy. But then there was a good sale at CVS the other day, so I grabbed it and I've been really liking it since. Speaking of old makeup products, this is the Wet n Wild Contour Stick in the shade Call Me Maple. These have been out for years, but I just never really bothered with them. I have so many other cream or stick liquid bronzers in my collection that I just felt like I had no business buying anymore. CVS had Wet n Wild where if you spent $12, you got $6 back. This and a blush stick. I like both of them. The blush stick, it's pretty, but I think maybe if I would have got a different color, I would have liked it even more. More than anything though, it's the way that these blend in. I feel like they take zero effort and they just instantly blend into the skin. And then on top of it, another drugstore purchase. I've had this for maybe like close to 3 weeks now. This was the only bronzer that I packed with me when I went to Georgia for the week. Typically, bronzer is something that I always pack multiple options of just because it's one of my all-time favorite like makeup products or steps in makeup, but this was the only one that I packed. It's not a bronzer, it's a powder. It's the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour powder. I have mine in the shade 360. This is what I use for my crease color every day. I would go in with this and then just either leave my lid naked or just go in with a touch of highlighter. It's just the perfect warm toasty brown. I love this on my eyes. I love it as my bronzer. Since it is a face powder, I find that it blends out so nicely and it really does last on my face all day long. For my waterline, I'm just quickly using one of the Laura Mercier Caviar sticks. This one is in Wild Rose. And I always have to have some sort of shimmery inner corner, so taking that Haley's Haze shade, I'm just gonna dust a little bit of that right into that area. If you have yet to use Sydney Gray shadows, I would highly recommend checking out her site. The formula is just so pretty. I've never had any issues with any of her shadows. I'm kind of annoyed at myself that I used the Maybelline bronzer. Yes and no, because I love this and I really want you guys to try it as a bronzer, but I forgot Sydney Grace also sent over this new Luminous Light Face Palette. They sent this one over in light. So you have 2 blushes, a shimmery blush or like blush topper, a matte blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer. But let's go in and use these blushes. I'm definitely gonna do both just because I feel like this would be really light just on its own. Also, just so I can remind myself too while I'm editing in case any of y'all are wondering what's on my nails, I'm using one of the Revel dip powders. That's the only brand I ever use. I'm pretty sure this color is called Cate. I'll double check and I'll leave it down below. I do have a little code. It's one that like anyone can have. After you order for the first time, like if you make an account, you can make a Revel rewards account, which if you plan on ordering dip powders, I would highly recommend doing because you get points from every order. And then after you accumulate so many points, you can get like $10, $20, $30 off future orders. I've built up to $100 off before, so it's definitely worth signing up for. It's completely free. I think if you use my link, you get like $10 off your first order of $60 or more. Okay, just like the eyeshadows, I feel like this blush is much more pigmented and prettier on than what it looked in the pan. It just looked kind of like powdery in the pan, but it is really pretty on. I do want to go on top with some of the shimmery blush as well. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of this. This is one of my all-time favorite blush brushes. It's from Smashbox. I know their brushes are a little bit pricier, but I've had this one for years and it's still holding up great. Okay, I need to dust off even more of that because pigmented. Oh, that is really pretty though. It's like a blush lighter. You have the glow of a highlighter, but the pretty pink of a blush. Ooh, I like this look altogether. Okay, I do still want to apply some of the highlighter that's in here as well. This is a Morphe M501. I don't think I've ever used a highlighter from Sydney Grace before. Let's just do a little bit here. Yeah, this is a really pretty face palette. I did also purchase this recently at CVS. It's one of the Milani liquid highlighters. This has been out for a couple months, I think, but I was just late on getting it. I saw it and I was like, why not? I had some extra care bucks, so I got it for free. I'm just gonna do a little bit right on top of the powder. They do have them in like actual concealers and contour colors as well. I didn't get any of those, but I am kind of curious. This is where I'm the most excited because Too Faced sent over their Lip Injection Extreme Lip Shapers. I swatched these on my hand yesterday and I had to use a cleansing oil to take them off. I mean, this one right here is still on there a little bit. I personally love the Too Faced lip injection glosses, the extreme ones. You have to be someone who likes an intense minty tingle because those ones are strong. Let's do hot and spicy. I had kimchi and rice for breakfast, so I feel like this is on theme. So instead of a twist up applicator, it's actually a little like click button. So obviously however much you put up, like you're not gonna be able to put it back down. And it has a thicker diameter than most other lip liners, which I actually like because a majority of my lip liners, no matter what lipstick or lip gloss I'm putting on top, I pretty much always line and fill my lips with a lip liner. I haven't applied any of these onto my lips yet. So I'm interested to see if these have that same sort of tingle. I couldn't feel any sort of tingle on my hand, but I could smell a little bit of like a minty scent to them. I can already feel that tingle. And the texture is nice. I'm picky with lip liners. I don't like anything that's too creamy because then I feel like it just kind of smudges all over the place. This one almost applies like a matte lipstick. It doesn't feel dry matte, but like it's not overly creamy. The description on this says, plump up and reshape your lip line while creating a supersized lip look with this long wear, super plumping, demi matte lip liner, supercharged with our innovative lip injection volumizing technology designed to create a perfect lip shape plumped to perfection. Okay, this is definitely starting to just feel tinglier and tinglier. I love that though. And then for the top, just because I always like to have something glossy, Lawless also sent over 2 of their Forget the Filler lip plumping line smoothing glosses. I love this formula. I feel like it's one that truly does smooth out your lip lines. The applicator, everything about it is so pretty. First up, we have Violet Bloom. That looks like, I don't know if this is a color that I would wear, but since it's a gloss, it's a little bit more sheer. So I feel like once it's on, it doesn't look quite as intense. I mean, that is a flashy spring color. And then we have Lavender Sorbet. This is one of those like pretty milky pink colors, but I just love the applicator on these. They do a great job of just really hugging onto your lips. I am curious of what this Violet Bloom is gonna look like on, so let's just add a touch. Add a little bit on top of this because as I mentioned, it's more of like a lightly tinted gloss. It doesn't look quite as intense as it does in the tube. Oh yeah, and on top of this lip liner, it's actually really pretty. So there is everything on my face. I'm really liking all of it. I mean, It's not a super detailed look, just something quick that I threw on, but I love all of these tones together. Like I said, if you've never tried Sydney Grace, I think you would really love their formula. Sometimes with some brands, it's like, you know, the mattes are really strong, but then the metallics are so-so. All of her formulas are so stunning. I've even used pastels before and they're just as pigmented and blendable. I do have to play with this face palette some more. I mean, I do like the blush, but maybe tomorrow I'll try on the actual bronzer on my face over on Instagram stories. And for lips, already impressed by the Too Faced lip liners. These are seriously just feeling like zzz on my lips. Super minty and tingly. I've already used the Forget the Filler formula before. Love this. If you are looking for a great gloss just to keep in your purse and use every day, I cannot recommend these enough. And then if you need a long wear bronzer and you're able to find a shade in the Maybelline Superstay line that matches for a bronzer, definitely grab them. I cannot rave about this enough as a bronzer. All right, so there is today's video. As always, thanks so much for hanging out. If you have some more time on your hands, you can always check out one of these videos here. And yeah, that's about it. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.